It should work.
Should be working. Let's see if this goes up.
I don't know. It's showing it as basically working. Time to double check everything's working on my phone. I believe this is functioning now. Okay, good. OBS, is that showing up as being streaming? Yes. Is this... It appears to be functioning. Okay, that's all good then. Now... I don't know, I had a vibration. Is it telling me I'm starting streaming or something weird? Thinking, should I send myself some hearts on my phone? I think it's chamber. I don't know why I put chamber. Doesn't sound right. I don't know, maybe there is some language where that's actually correct, but it certainly isn't English. With the doors open, I wasn't about to lead my party into some death chamber and play right into their hands. So, naturally, now what's the term I could look for? Now, what can she throw in? I thought just, like, pull the puck mouse out of a USB, like, aggressively just tear it out, even though it's somewhat a piece of history. Not the piece of history anyone wants to remember, but still a piece of history. So, yeah, naturally, I tore the mouse from the terminal and chucked it through the door. And naturally, she would hit someone in the face with it, who just happened to be standing there. Much to my surprise, I hit some demon in the eye. His perfectly timed window into suffering was most amusing. She is still a sadist to me. I couldn't help but laugh as he rolled around on the floor. Well, as it turns out, 1990s computer peripherals appear to make brilliant weapons. Yes. I can say that's true as someone who has a zombie killer keyboard myself from the 90s. I didn't ever know why the Apple mouse was designed like that. But I guess it's designed specifically so you can throw it into people's eyes. The more you know. At least the design does have a use, even if it's not the one anyone thought about. Certainly not very useful as a computer mouse. Well, as it turns out, 90s computer peripherals appear to make brilliant weapons. I said, as he cried in agony while holding his left eye. Well, it would be left from his perspective, but also the old concept of like left-handed being evil and stuff. It's funny to make fun of the old superstition. And I mean, totally, Luke would believe that. He would be like, oh no, it's his left eye, and it hurts. That means he's evil. Because left anything is apparently evil. So people did actually believe that. I mean, it would be funny if, like, it wasn't a real thing. I don't know, maybe that makes it funnier. What do I know about humour? But I'm sure, like, when there was a witch hunt and everything, they used to be like, do you write with your left hand? You do, you're a witch. They don't need any other evidence. Half the stuff was made up at that point. She's going to be like hailed as a demon lord though because she passed the trials or something. Although to her it's just like, you really don't know how to design the security system here. Although it's actually just some kind of trial. And then she's going to be like, this is the most useless dungeon ever then in that case. You really need a better security system, man. Nah, explanation point is wrong. I sighed. You know, this has the same feeling I recall from the other Dell keyboard, if I can just dig that one up. I do have it actually still down here, but it's still, the cable and everything is just tied up, so come on, pull. There we go, I think I've got it enough now. It reminds me of this. That's about as up as I can get it because all the cables are twisted together, but yeah. That was a keyboard I didn't expect much from. But it's been brilliant when I actually needed to type on it. I knew it was better than the trash keyboard like this one, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it actually was. You would need a better security system, man. I sighed carelessly, dismissing his apparent agony. It is you. He yelled obnoxiously, staring directly into my eyes in a slightly haunting way, with his single... What if the eye he was hit just like so happens to be black? So it's not like, he's not got a black eye from it, he's too strong for that, but he's got a black eye, as in, like, the eye is black in colour. Or I could just put grey, but I don't know, it doesn't have the same impression having written it as grey as it does having written it as black. In a slightly haunting way with his contrasting red and black eyes. I cannot begin to fathom as to why his eyes were like that, but so be it, I guess. See if I care. You are the only person to ever pass through the 3 layers of security protecting this castle. Therefore, you must be the Demon Lord. And naturally, she's going to be frustrated with how generic and scripted that sounds. Really? Are you yet another side character who continues to repeat canned predefined lines? I said unimpressed as I believed, not believed, as I saw no depth to this man's character beneath the surface layer. Because it is somewhat a video game, so you know, there are things that just like, events that just keep repeating and the same voice lines and everything. And like, she has realised that. Luke hasn't. He still thinks it's kind of real. He doesn't realise that he's in some kind of game, which I'm thinking is like a work in progress game that's not been released to the public yet. That's like what I'm going around with for now, until I come up with something better of an idea. And yes, I saw no depth beneath the surface. Like, I don't think I need surface, like beneath the surface. You must be this Agnetha. I've heard so much about I corrected that at least. I do need another quotation mark. You must be this Ignafer I've heard so much about. The one true demon lord of this land. And then at that point she's like, well, at least you got my name right. Fine, I'll play along for now. Okay. I was surprised that this world had anybody who acknowledged that I wasn't actually called Luke. I think it needs to be in like single quotation marks because it's been like said before so many times. I was surprised that this world had anybody who acknowledged the fact that the fact that I wasn't actually called Luke. Alright then. Seeing as you actually got my name right, I'll play along with your games for now. I feel like it would be funny though if like he acknowledged the pain, but he still hasn't like acknowledged the existence of the Apple mouse that hit him in the face. Like, he knows it hurt, but he doesn't actually realise that that thing even exists. Even funnier if he slips on it, because like it just happens to be in that inopportune moment. I said, genuinely curious as to where this story was taking me. Just then, I think the mouse was pink. I think I said that before. It's going to be pink now anyway. I'll just change it later in the other parts if it isn't matched up. That's what editing is for, making sure everything is cohesive and works. Just then, it's not an orb. He stepped on the rounded pink object and hit his butt on the cold, hard cobblestones beneath him. Well, that was dumb. I said judgmentally. Can't you see? No. Anyone would think you couldn't see that I think, what if she doesn't even regard it as a mouse, just like that thing? I briefly paused as I bought the traumatic images of that torture device to my mind. I'm sure there's going to be some Apple iMac G3 like fans who are going to hate this story because I make fun of it, but the truth is it's a badly designed mouse. I mean, I'm sure there's even Apple people out there who will agree it's a badly designed thing. I briefly paused as I brought to mind traumatic images of that torture device. That thing, yeah, so, well, that was dumb, I said generally. Anyone would think you couldn't see that. I briefly paused as I brought to mind my traumatic images on that torture device. That thing, if it hit you in the face like it did. I don't know if that last part's necessary, to be honest. It goes without saying that he had no idea what I was referring to. Still not showing any comments, I don't know. Just double check that this is actually functioning. I think the comment section's working. But you know, it's just these things can sometimes not work on the phone and best to check. It goes without saying that he had no idea what I was referring to. Almost as if this... Almost as if it was specifically tailored to my past trauma. Almost as if the object, I think I should say, was specifically tailored to my past trauma. I think I should change my keyboard soon. The light is still on the beige one back there, and I believe that works. I did some work to try and get that working because it didn't work last time. So yes, I'm going to be moving from the membrane keyboard onto the 3 mechanical ones I have got today. First starting off with the Alps one because I don't want it to just fail on me, like, and then I don't have it working. I'd rather just use it while it is working and get it over with. So then I don't have to worry if like it disconnects or anything. He had no idea what I was referring to. Almost as if the object was specifically tailored to my past trauma. Oh well. I guess he'll never get to experience the joys of the world's most awful mouse. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure if I said, but it has one button, no scroll wheel, and the shortest USB cable ever. The mouse is genuinely a joke. Like, to use it with any PC, you would have to get an extension cable or have a keyboard with a USB port on, because there's just no other way it would be able to connect. It was truly a low, even for Apple, who don't make good mice. Now, as I was saying, yes, time to change. So it's time to bring that board down here, out of the way. There you go. Time to bring this beast forwards. Actually kind of matches the PC. And I did want to use this before, but I had no such luck. But Alps Black, it's very nice. Oh well, I guess he'll never get to experience the joys of the world's most awful mouse. You know what, I feel like a change. Let's go to the other perspective. Yeah, behaving the same way as a hero, such as myself. What, as in eating loads of stolen bakery goods. I'll try and find it actually just for reference, because I think what I put was pretty good. No, it was supposed to be cocaine. Because that's like a joke, they put it in the cookies and he gets addicted. Having consumed the cookies, I felt full of energy. The kind of energy I haven't felt since I tried cocaine. I mean, had the effects of cocaine described to me over the phone. He's not fooling anyone. Well, I'll say that. There's probably one or two people who would be fooled by it. But not many people. You cannot expect them to behave in the same way as a hero such as myself. Regardless, I had to have more. I was filled with cake and donuts. But they were far better than they had any right to. And yes, this hero, the supposed hero, is going to vomit from overeating. He's just going to have too much and vomit because he got addicted. Then, yeah, it doesn't do him any favours. But ChatMP3 said he would get stronger if he stole all the cookies. And he believes every single word ChatMP3 says. Feeling slightly dizzy, I brought up my old friend chat.mp3. Yeah, it's got that bad that he actually regards ChatMP3 as his friend. What's the world coming to? As another version of myself said. And naturally, it isn't going to understand what he said that well. I mean, I think I said last stream, I did, that these systems aren't as bad as they used to be at interpreting your voice, but it's funnier if they like recognise something completely wrong and inaccurate as compared to what he actually said. So yes, let's try and get this mobile device working. Nope, and that's not it. And I feel sick, but need to keep eating. What should I do? Because remember, he is addicted at this point. That's why he's like... that's why he won't accept not eating as the answer. Once again, my app gave me some killer advice. What if it tells him eat meat and he just goes and like raids a butcher's shop, but then he just vomits? It's like, this stuff is disgusting because they've obviously not put some addictive substance in it, so he doesn't get addicted in quite the same way. Although, if I want Chat MP3 to look bad, what if it just told him to get drunk? Because, you know, like, there's disadvantages to alcohol, I think everyone knows that, but what if Chat MP3 was just telling him to get drunk because it stole it off a Reddit post or something? If you're looking to get better, then you have to get drunk, because it's like, the computer doesn't know the difference between, dark humour and actual legitimate advice. So it assumes they're both one in the same. Okay, although I'm sure it wasn't understanding me quite as well as it once did. I've had this keyboard for about 8 years now, believe it or not, as well. It got me into mechanical keyboards. And the Razer one I'm about to use after this, it's not the same. It uses the modern switches, which I do not like as much as the Alps Black switches that this has. But then I will end on a good note with kind of a modern retro keyboard, which I think is in the description. Although I'm sure it wasn't understanding me quite as well as it once did. The advice was as sound as ever. Double quotation marks, because it is talking. It's talking in MP3 format. Chat.mp3. I'm thinking of just like quoting this song from the 70s about getting drunk, and it just like rips off that. It would be kind of funny, I believe. If you're feeling down and you're under the weather. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it was funny, and like even back then it was meant more as a joke song than anything. But like again, as I say, Chat MP3 doesn't realise it's a joke song, it thinks it's serious advice. I would say go and grab a brew and drink it together, but then that's like, that can mean tea, so it kind of misses the point. If you're feeling down and you're under the weather, grab a bottle of beer and down it. No, because down it together makes it sound like not consuming it all yourself. We want Chat MP3 to give it like the worst advice, which is just drink all of the alcohol by yourself and down it forever. Grab a crate. It implies a lot more than just one bottle. So, if you're feeling down and you're under the weather, grab a crate of beer and down it forever. Yeah, Chat MP3 is now just like probably pulling it off some comedy rhyme on Reddit. And it's like, this is completely accurate information. I guess that figures. Like any human, chat.mp3 knew where it was at. Yes, and it's like, even though he's under 18, he's had alcohol. He's not exactly the perfect model student. So yeah. And then you have like this Ignatha who hasn't had alcohol, and she's like portrayed as being this evil demon lord. You know, it's like the whole world is just turned on its head. I guess that figures. Like any human, ChatMP3 knew where it was at. He actually sees this machine as being a human. That's maybe the scariest thing. Anyway, ChatMP3 knew where it was at. Naturally, I had to raid the local. Now I'm gonna have it in this world. As with reality, actually, older beer and stuff. Like if someone nowadays tried to eat it, drink it, it would seem completely disgusting, because it's just designed to different tastes with different kinds of how would I say it? Recipes. So, you know, him coming from our world, he's not gonna like it one bit. Like, I guess you could say artistic license often omits that, but I'm not going to, because I believe I can use it to good comedic effect. ChatMP3 knew where it was at. Naturally, I had to raid the local tavern. There, my first problem was presented to me. Like, I'm actually going to have his legal drinking age here. And I don't know, he's like 15 or 16, and you need to be 18 to drink in this world. I know it varies in the real world, but yeah, it's still going to be below the legal age, that's what I'm getting at. And yeah, to be honest, where probably is better than how I've written it. Where my first problem was presented to me in the form of a large window sticker. That should be V, not he. Alcohol is not to be served to persons under the age of 18. Like he's gonna care. I think actually single quotation marks. And being Luke, he is going to come up with the most absurd reason as to why they've put it up. They would put that those greedy pigs, they just want to keep it all to themselves. And you know it's Luke. What's he gonna do? He's gonna ask Chat MP3 how to steal alcohol. He's gonna tell him like the most generic advice. It's probably pulled from some old film from the 80s or something. I murmured under my breath in disgust. No. It's trying to autocorrect something. I think I just need a comma. Yeah, that works now. They would put those greedy pigs. It just doesn't flow at all in the way I want it to. In absolute disgust. Kind of adds a bit of depth, I think, over just putting disgust. How do I steal alcohol from a tavern? I asked chat.mp3. I need to check me comments if there is any, because I've not checked in a while. Doesn't appear to be anything. How do I steal alcohol from a tavern? He would ask that. I asked Chat MP3. And as expected, he... Yeah, Luke has also decided it is a he. Even though it's a machine, it doesn't have a gender. He's decided Chat.mp3 is a he now. It's his best friend in this world. I mean, you could try and make actual friends instead of just resorting to the AI, but that wouldn't be fun or easy. And as expected, he delivered in just a few minutes. Now remember, he has a very powerful phone as well. I can't even remember how the name is. I gave it some needlessly complicated name, but he has a very powerful high-end phone. And Chat MP3 is taking up 300 gigabytes of his 500 and something storage, and I don't know, I think I might have given it like 486 gigabytes as a old computer joke or something, because I think there's an Intel 486 processor back in the day, like in the 80s or early 90s. Anyway, my point is he has a lot of storage and most of it's taken up by Chat MP3. And also it's going to make the phone very hot, because it would when it's using all that processing power. And as expected, he delivered in just a few minutes. You asked, how do I cuddle alcohol in a now, like, I feel like it needs to be closer. Yeah. I asked Chat MP3 in my clearest voice. I think I don't need a capital there. And as expected, he delivered in just a few minutes. You asked, how do I cuddle alcohol in a tavern? No. I mean, yeah, it's almost there. How do I destroy? That's perfect, because it's just not at all what I asked for. How do I destroy alcohol in a tavern? Chat said, as I was holding the tinny mono speaker up to my ear to destroy alcohol, you must sneak into the tavern storeroom, and to destroy alcohol you must sneak into the tavern storeroom and down as many bottles as you possibly can. Oh, this is good. Before time runs out. Where the time limit's coming from, I have no idea. But chat.mp3 said there's a time limit, so there must be. With no time to spare, I used my heroic powers to sneak through an open door at the side of the building, which some fool on her smoking break had left open. Alas, chat was correct. Chat was correct. There was wall-to-wall alcohol all for me. Yes, because he does see things that way. The thing about this keyboard, it's not like the membrane one. The black membrane keyboard I just had before, I could instantly type on that and enjoy it. This, it seems like I kind of need to adapt to the board, but it isn't bad. Once I'm getting used to a key feel, it just gets nicer and nicer to type on. It's quite an interesting ordeal, actually. Although I do think the other one had a bit more curve, like, to the overall shape of the board, and that did help, whereas this is just very, very square. I do still like it, I'm not going to deny that. I do like my old Alps boards, but still, it's not necessarily perfect. Without a second thought, I began drinking like my life depended on it. Only to find a putrid taste lingering in my mouth. What if, yeah, because he's kind of got drunk. He doesn't take very much alcohol to make him drunk. What if this dunk? I slurred, feeling like I had been poisoned. Because as I say, this alcohol would not be the same as the stuff in like the world here. It would have been completely different, more akin to what they would have had hundreds of years ago, and thus it would be completely how would I say it? Not tasteless. It wouldn't have the taste that people like from modern alcoholic drinks at all. Needless to say, it caused me to vomit on the floor, then black out. Remember, he has overeaten as well on top of this. It's not just the alcohol that's doing it, but also the fact that he has overeaten really badly and his body just can't take it anymore, so it just vomits it all out, and yeah, he ends up sleeping in it. Needless to say, I'm never going back there again. No less, they chucked me out without even allowing me, the hero, to finish his drink. Because yes, he thinks just because he's the hero, he is completely immune to all laws. In fact, the land is pretty lawless, but that doesn't change the fact that if that world is lawless to him, it's also lawless to literally everyone else. Like, they could have stabbed him and then just thrown him in the bin. To be honest, he's lucky the owner wasn't more of a psychopath, because he would have been long gone if that was the case. How many words am I on now, I wonder? Ooh, I'm approaching 25,000. That would be good if I could get 25,000 a day. But I do have other keyboards to use. Actually, I'm just thinking, I can put like word count as I'm typing, so let's do that. And then when I hit 24,900, I can change a board, which is just a few words now. Yeah. He needs to like go back to stealing cookies. It's not going to change how he worships Chat MP3 though. He's not going to blame that, even though that literally just told him to get drunk, which was ultimately the thing that led to that whole event. I was not I was no quitter, though. I deemed this, he never learns, does he? I deemed this the perfect time to lay acquisition to more cookies in order to further develop my power level. He's still buying into that though, you know. He still believes, because it was something Chat MP3 said, that he will get more powerful. And I did briefly say before, I have this Razer keyboard, most likely from the 2010s, at some kind of point in the 2010s. I'm not sure exactly when it's from. It is a model with the Razer green switches, which are essentially cheap knockoffs of cherry switches. It's also a Razer, meaning this should not have lived as long as it has. Razer keyboards are horrendously unreliable, but what it isn't is actually an awful typing experience. Is it as good as the Alps Dell? No, not a chance. But is it still a reasonably nice board to type on? Definitely. And it also does light up. Like you see, it's on colour change now. I don't know how to change that on Linux. I know there's some software on Windows. Don't think it works on Linux. But yeah, the Windows key here means it must be 2012 onwards, because that's when Windows 8 came out with a new style of key. And hence, it can't be earlier than Windows 8 or 2012 because of that. Although it's more likely a bit newer, but just as a matter of idea. Like, I know it's from the 2010s at least. Probably not from the 2020s because it was already used when I bought it. Quite a while ago, actually. So yeah, most likely some point in the 2010s. And it is working, that's good. It feels oddly warm. Like, I guess it's because I've had it on top of this. Yeah, that PC is kind of hot on the top. Not much ventilation, so I guess it kind of acts like a bit of a heatsink on the top. In order to further develop my power level. Naturally, what if he goes to this bakery and the cookies are awful there? Like, I don't know, some new place that's just started up and someone who doesn't really know what they're doing. And he eats those cookies and they're the most disgusting thing ever. But he feels like he has to eat them because Chat MP3 told them it makes him more powerful. Not that it just makes him fatter if he eats like loads and loads of cookies. Chat MP3 didn't say that, so it mustn't be true. And there is my screen resolution. Why that come up, I don't know. Naturally, I decided to, I would say, a food truck, but the world has basically collapsed and then just started rebuilding itself, so I don't think anyone would just be able to get food trucks that easily. Guns for basically lying on the ground all over the place, if you see what I mean, because the world was like set in constant war, you can't trust anyone, all that kind of stuff. Then it collapsed, then it started rebuilding. And, yes, this arm is weird. Sure I can feel something there, like, I don't know. Feels like I've got an oddly lumpy muscle. It shouldn't be that lumpy. Naturally, I decided to raid a tiny back alley bakery. after all, this world wasn't exactly going to make... I like the space bar, that's about the only bit I like. The key feel on this I think is just a bit too soft personally. The Dell, it had a firmer feel, but it had that sound when you hit the keys. That was nice, and it just, I like that bit more resistance personally. Like, this isn't a bad thing to type on, but it's a Razer, meaning it could fail right now, for all I know. I do not trust Razer keyboards. My brother had a Razer keyboard he spent a lot of money on, and it failed. Somehow my £15 trash Razer actually works still. I'm as amazed as anyone will be. If anything, like, buying a used Razer is actually a safer option than buying it new, because, you know, at least at that point you're more likely to win the silicon lottery, so to speak. I know that term's more used when you're talking about overclocking processors, but still, I think there's a bit of a silicon lottery with Razer keyboards. About 10% chance you win, 90% chance it fails horrendously. I think this is the winner of the lottery, or one of the winners of the lottery. If you look at the Trustpilot scores on Razer, they are actually 1.4 out of 5. They are not a very trusted brand among the people who have owned them. Not in the slightest. After all, this world wasn't exactly going to make finding buried treasure easy. After all, this world wasn't exactly going to make finding buried treasure easy. Yeah, and he's going to have these cookies. They're going to taste like, almost like cake. Just they've been so undercooked, but they're still soft. And they bring back the sick feeling he had just before he vomited before. I'm not going to have him vomit this time. They're not going to be like that bad. But they are not going to taste good at all. But he's going to force himself to take them. I think he stole the shotgun before. But to be quite honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the tavern stole that shotgun off him. Kind of as payback because he stole alcohol off them. Yeah, like, it would make sense. Since, obviously, he didn't have money on him. He didn't ever bother to make money in this world. They just have to take that. I guess you'd call it reparations for his damage that he's caused. Needless to say, I had no gun, so I think he should, like, steal one from someone in the street. So I stole one from beneath a civilian's arm. Now, I feel like he wouldn't call it steal, though. He would... I acquired. Because he believes he's perfect. Regardless of how many sins he commits, he believes he's still this perfect, magical hero, which he obviously isn't. So I acquired one from beneath a civilian's arm. Sacrifices had to be made, after all, in the name of justice. So yes, that's the thing. Sacrifices had to be made in the name of... Sacrifices had to be made after all, comma, in the name of justice. With a surprisingly sophisticated weapon beneath my arm, I was now ready, ready, yes, that's how you do it, to storm this stronghold and take what was rightfully mine. I was now ready to storm this stronghold and take what was rightfully mine. So, yes, he's going to take the stuff, but also, oh, I can see that other keyboard over there, and it is exciting. I just want to get rid of this Razer keyboard. It's not that it's an awful board to type on, but I've just got better ones. That's all it comes down to. Now, this is where he's going to go truly to the dark side. He's going to get stuck in a standoff with a guy in the store, so he just shoots him. Without even having a second thought about it, he just shoots the guy, and, like, that's really just to drive home a point that he isn't a good person. He will shoot someone if he thinks they're in his way. And especially if ChatMP3 tells him to do it, then he's definitely going to shoot someone. And his logic is going to be, oh, he's only a side character, not like he's important or anything. Okay, so, yes, I made my way into the store and raised my firearm. Yeah, he didn't even think to cover his face. Oh dear, that's not going to play out well for him. He seems to think like he's this amazing immortal hero. No one else sees him that way. He's the only one that sees that. Well, okay, to be fair, some people see him that way. But you can't just behave horrendously and get away with it. They will, like, dislike him for doing that. Put the cookies in the bag and nobody gets hurt. He doesn't even have a bag, by the way. He's just like parroting out stuff he's heard before. Put the cookies in the bag and no one gets hurt, I demanded. Knowing that what I was doing was ultimately for the better, no, for the greater good. Knowing that what I was doing was ultimately for the greater good. I'm just thinking actually the next keyboard I've got, it's actually quite well suited to this machine. Perhaps not in colour in its entirety, but in overall like feel of the switches, it is a very nice board to match this machine. he raised his firearm in an attempt to deter me from the change that this world so desperately needed. Again, believing he's entirely in the right, even though he isn't. He's just deluded. What bag? He snapped. Again, Luke is gonna lie. Like, yeah, sure, he says what bag, but he's gonna make this guy seem really rude to make it seem like he's justified in doing what he does. He isn't. A loser like you doesn't deserve cookies off the likes of me.